lot of things that we couldn't have expected to take place over the final few weeks of this season. But way atop that list is that we be praising the goaltending, like at any level. Good morning to you. Good Monday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Penguins. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into football and or baseball, I also offer daily shots of Steelers and Pirates in the same place that you found this. The Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins beat the Lehigh Valley Phantoms 5-3 yesterday in Allentown, PA. And the reason I lead with those guys instead of the red-hot these guys is that Sergei Murashov won yet again. 23 saves, nothing spectacular about that number in isolation. But when you look at his tenure, if you want to call it that, in the AHL, since he's been up and down for some insane reason between there and Wheeling of the ECHL, he is now 9-0 at the American League level with a 2.41 goals against, a .921 save percentage, and a shutout. And he's won all three of his starts since wisely, no-brainer Edley, being brought back up from Wheeling again. That's not good news for the Penguins. That's not very good news. That's great news. That's arguably, I was about to say the best news, but for the short term and given the circumstances, the best news might also be related to goaltending. That, of course, being the way Tristan Jarry has played since coming back up. The parent Penguins have won 4 in a row. The parent Penguins have beaten 4 pretty good teams in those games. The Wild, the Golden Knights, the Blues, and then the Devils over the weekend. And while Jarry hasn't been perfect or at the same super stratified level that he was in the first 2 games, he's been plenty good enough, and his teammates have fed off of him. They have talked about it, but more importantly, they have shown it. Now, I'm not real big on the revisionist hypotheticals that can arise from scenarios like this because a lot of different things happen over the passage of time. But if the Penguins, meaning either the Pittsburgh ones or the Wilkes-Barre Scranton ones, but in particular here, had gotten this kind of goaltending all season, yeah, I know, ... What matters, of course, is what happens in the 2025-26 season and beyond. What matters is operating from a position of strength, meaning, of course, if you're Kyle Dubas, when it comes to navigating your goaltending in the offseason. A month ago, it looked like he'd have to go out and get 5 more of them. Now it doesn't look like he has to get any. Or if deep down somewhere, he and the rest of management or Mike Sullivan, whoever, don't believe in Jarry, well, now there's actually a prayer that they could trade him and that contract. Not taking this too far. It's been 4 games. I'm just referring to the trajectory to date. And in Jarry's case, the recent trajectory. Look, a lot of good stuff's happened here of late, which is what happens when you're winning, which is why I've been advocating for gasp that the Penguins should continue to try to win. Because sure, the higher tide can raise all ships, but at the risk of really mangling that metaphor, the ships can kind of raise the tide too, or something. That didn't even make sense. You know what I'm saying here. If Connor Dewar is scoring 3 goals in 2 games and banging around the front of the net and knocking people over on the boards and flying up ice, you actually find out something more about him than what you would have found out either from watching him play 33 games for the Maple Leafs with no goals, or from watching him play for this team while it would suck and just drag out the remainder of its finish. This way, you learn. This way, you have a fairer assessment. Say the same thing for Connor Timmins. Came in the same exchange, which, by the way, was just basically a salary shave from the Toronto perspective. I'm not sold on Dewar yet, although it's obviously going pretty well. But man, Timmins, I don't get letting that player walk in his mid-20s the way the Maple Leafs did. I don't understand that when you watch him here. And I'm not going to go back and study his film for the rest of the season. I'm just going to keep watching him here. But it's been really just a natural, smooth transition and apparently a fit. Sometimes that's what it takes. Sometimes it just takes stepping into the right environment, the right system, the right support level. Let me put this another way, and this is going to sound maybe a little unnecessarily mean, but has Dewar been an upgrade, actually a market upgrade, over Matt Nieto? Yeah, sure. That's why he's the kind of player you should have had in Nieto's place all along. Has Timmins been a better player on the right side of the defense than anybody who was there before him, including Vinny Desharnais? Yes, he has. And have the Penguins been a better hockey team since that trade and a couple of the other trades that came in, while also understanding that Tommy Novak got hurt almost right away? Yes. And does all of that have value, greater value, heading into the offseason than moving a slot or two ahead of somebody in a draft process that's a complete crapshoot anyway? Whoa! Yes! One more yes! When we come back, J1Q. This episode is brought to you by Bet Online, your number one source for all your summer sports needs this season, from Major League Baseball, golf, NHL, NBA playoffs. Get the latest odds and lines, including all team matchups, player props, odds on just about everything that's out there. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. Bet Online, where the game starts. Today's J1Q comes from Shin Ma, who says, DK, I can take losing. I can take that if the Penguins take advantage of how the NHL rewards losing. What I can't take is this premise of protecting a culture that at present has given up 247 goals, and to do what? To jeopardize draft position? I'm going to say something that I have a pretty good feeling will be unpopular with a significant portion of this audience. And honestly, I don't care, because that's just the way this sort of thing has to go, meaning the sports commentary thing. If I start saying things to you that I don't actually mean, or I'm pandering to you or whatever, I'm worthless. You might as well just go read press releases and stuff. I'm going to make you mad once in a while. That's just, really just the nature of human discourse. We're not going to agree on everything. I'm not going to do it on purpose, but I'm going to do it. It's probably going to happen in the other direction as well, since I read all of the comments that come back in this direction. And here's what I've got. Around here in Pittsburgh, and around that arena, PPG Paints Arena, around this group of players, people are not just enjoying this because, ooh, look, yay, they won. They're appreciating it for what it is. Here in Pittsburgh, the only sentiments that I've picked up on that have been expressed that sound like yours have come from well outside Pittsburgh. Now, you can go right ahead and read into that whatever it is that you want. Are you emotionally closer because you're around a team? Are you a season ticket holder? Are you walking 2 miles back and forth to the arena in your 66 sweater and prepared to cheer on your club through thick and thin? Yes, there's going to be a different vibe between that and who's following from a distance. And who's following from a distance can also mean emotional distance. You kind of suggest that yourself there even a little bit by pointing out that you can take losing, you can handle losing. Well, can you handle it in the third period against the Devils when the Penguins have a 4-1 lead and New Jersey gets themselves a couple of 4-minute power plays and comes this close to tying it up, gets to 4-3, and the place is going nuts, getting behind Tristan Jarry and the team and everybody. Do you think any of those people are pondering, gee, what if we pick one slot higher than Philadelphia? No. They're watching the game. They care about the game. They're watching the players. They care about the players, the ones who've been here for years, and in a different kind of way, the ones who just arrived, because they want the team to get better. And seeing a Connor Dewar or Connor Timmins or guys like that come through, that's hope. And it's tangible. It's right there in front of them. The draft pick isn't. You can get all stoked about a top 10 pick, and I can come back with the name Derek Pouliot. You can say that this is what's right to do by your scouts. I can say scout harder. Because on actual draft day, unless you're picking in the top 2 or 3, or in this case, according to most analysts, the top 4, it's a grab bag. It's just stick your hand in there and see who comes out. Unless you out-scout everybody. Make that your organizational focus. Make it a positive organizational focus. This team's done some good things. Individual players have done some good things. It's all right to appreciate that for exactly what it is. And I'm impressed that people around here have done precisely that. They really have. They want the Penguins to be proud. They want the Penguins to carry themselves, to conduct themselves a certain way, which they haven't always done over this season. Oh, and one last thing. They also want the Penguins to not be the team that you just, fairly cut up for giving up 247 goals this season, because they haven't been that team for a good while now. I appreciate the question. I really do. I appreciate everybody who listens to Daily Shot of Penguins, including when we disagree. We'll have another one of these tomorrow.